Hello and welcome to Diabetes Connections in the News. I'm Stacey Sims, and every other Friday, I bring you a short episode with the top diabetes stories and headlines happening now. Our top story, big news from Sana Biotechnology. Their first study in people of islet cells without any immunosuppression appears to be a success. Now, this is very early, but after 4 weeks, there were no safety issues, and the transplanted beta cells were producing insulin. Sana's CEO says safe cell transplantation without immunosuppression has the potential to transform the treatment of type 1 diabetes and a number of other diseases. I've reached out to Sana to get more on this. Love to talk to them soon. The FDA says no for sotagliflozin as an adjunct to insulin therapy for glycemic control in adults with type 1 diabetes and chronic kidney disease. They say studies do show meaningful reduction in A1C, but a meaningful increase in DKA. Now, sotagliflozin is available in other countries for people with type 1 diabetes, but the FDA first rejected it in 2019, and it was resubmitted last summer. Two companies we've been following are teaming up. Modular Medical has an FDA-cleared patch pump, and Nudge BG has an adaptive, fully closed loop. They've announced a new partnership agreement. Modular Medical makes the Mod-1 insulin pump, and Nudge BG is supposed to do just what it sounds like, kind of make small changes to insulin delivery, nudging the blood glucose, based on estimated glucose inputs from a continuous glucose monitor. Familiar name to some of you, Lane Desborough is the founder of Nudge BG. He says this will be a fully automated system, no mealtime bolusing needed. Beta Bionics filed for an initial public offering this week. The company did not disclose number of shares or the price range. They plan to be listed on the NASDAQ under the ticker symbol BBNX. This is the company, of course, that makes the iLet bionic pancreas. Beta Bionics says they plan to use the proceeds to grow sales and manufacturing infrastructure and develop new features for the pump. Tandem Diabetes signed a multi-year collaboration agreement with the University of Virginia Center for Diabetes Technology to advance research and development efforts on fully automated closed-loop insulin delivery systems. There's a long history here. UVA is where the Control-IQ algorithm was developed, and this agreement seems to keep the team together for another decade. New study says insulin is still the best treatment for gestational diabetes compared to oral glucose-lowering medications. Metformin and others are being closely looked at since they're easier to administer, less costly, and have better acceptance among patients. But this study says insulin was a bit better. Slightly more babies were born larger for the metformin group. More moms overall had hypoglycemia in the oral medication group. Novo Nordisk pushing back to the FDA, arguing there is no clinical need to allow compounding for liraglutide. This is a type 2 diabetes injection it sells as Victoza. Novo last month filed a citizen petition with the FDA asking them to exclude Victoza from a proposed list of drugs eligible for compounding. Now, the FDA is going to enforce the end of allowing compounds of tirzepatide. They are going to allow a grace period of 60 days. This is, of course, the ingredient in Mounjaro and Zepbound. Semaglutide remains on the FDA's shortest list for several dose strengths, although all doses have been reported as available since late October of 2024. Expect this all to be stretched out because compounding pharmacies maintain that they provide an essential public service, offering lower-cost versions of these medications that can cost more than $1,000 per month. Many insurers still refuse to cover the GLP-1 products, but the FDA has reported hundreds of adverse event reports allegedly linked to compounded versions of these drugs. Interesting story here. This study says a fecal transplant can help people with type 1 and severe gastroenteropathy. The researchers say this commonly affects people with type 1 diabetes, causing debilitating symptoms like nausea, vomiting, bloating, and diarrhea. Treatment options remain limited. So this was a novel clinical trial to test the benefits of FMT, fecal transplant, in adult patients with type 1. Over 4 weeks compared to placebo, FMT led to significant changes in the diversity of the gut microbiome. A couple of weeks ago, you listeners told me that Dexcom's geofencing issue seemed to be resolved. We had reported on this extensively, and Dexcom is now confirming this. And previously, if you had an issue with the Dexcom G7 outside of your home country, you could not reinstall or use the app again without customer report. As of last month, That issue has been resolved with the latest Dexcom G7 2.6 app update. You can get more information and check your system with the link I'm putting in the show notes. Of course, all of these stories have links in the show notes where you can find out more. Abbott and Dexcom have settled all patent lawsuits related to CGMs. The two competitors agreed in December to resolve all outstanding patent disputes and not sue each other over patents for 10 years. They previously reached a settlement in 2014 related to their diabetes devices, and they had an agreement there not to sue each other again until 2021. After that agreement expired, the companies filed a bunch of patent lawsuits. So this is a timeout for now. And that's it for In the News. If you like it, please share it. I'm Stacey Sims. I'll see you back here soon. Until then, be kind to yourself.
Diabetes Connections is a production of Stacey Sims Media. All rights reserved, all wrongs avenged.